Ashley Holdings Group occupied top 3 floors of a glass tower overlooking the city skyline. Polished marble lobby, private elevators, boardrooms wrapped in floor-to-ceiling windows. It was a company built on image, on perception, on presentation. Mark Donovan had built his career understanding that. Senior Director of Acquisitions, 14 years at Ashley Holdings, the kind of a man who arrived early to meetings not because he was prepared, but because he wanted to be seen arriving early. He had learned something in 14 years. Perception was power. Control the room before it fills, own the narrative before it starts, and never allow anything to disrupt the image you've spent years constructing. He was good at it. Exceptional, even. 6 months ago, in a smaller quarterly review, 5 people in the room, Emma Hayes had quietly raised a concern about his numbers. Not aggressively, not publicly. She had simply said, "These projections may need a second look." Mark had smiled. The kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. He thanked her for her contribution. And the next morning, Emma's desk had been moved, her access to the acquisitions calendar quietly revoked, her role reclassified as support rather than advisory. No announcement, no confrontation, just a slow, clean reassignment that said everything without saying anything. Emma understood. She had not questioned Mark Donovan's numbers again. That morning, senior leadership gathered for a high-stakes acquisition meeting. Department heads sat around the long walnut conference table, laptops open, financial reports projected on the screen. At the far end of the room, near the glass wall, a janitor wiped down the surface of the side cabinet. Brian Ashley had been with the company for 6 months. Officially, he was part of the facilities. Quiet, punctual, observant. Most executives barely noticed him, but Brian noticed everything. He watched how senior managers treated the receptionist when the lobby was empty versus when clients were present. He observed which executives greeted security and which walked past without blinking. He read internal memos left on printer trays, listened to conversations that stopped when the wrong person entered. He noted carefully, consistently, the gap between what this company claimed to value and how it behaved when no one important was watching. He had been watching for 6 months. Emma Hayes had noticed him too, not as furniture, not as background. She noticed the way he listened, the way he absorbed a room without performing in it, the way he asked precise questions in passing, questions too deliberate for someone simply maintaining the building. She didn't know what to make of him, but she knew he didn't belong where they had placed him. Mark adjusted his cufflinks. "This is a leadership session," he said casually, glancing toward Brian. "Let's keep it that way." Soft chuckles around the table. Brian nodded politely and stepped aside, but he didn't leave. He stood quietly near the back wall, hands resting lightly on the cleaning cart. The meeting hadn't started yet. Mark's voice sharpened. "Actually, you shouldn't be in here during this meeting." The air shifted. Brian met his eyes calmly. Understood. He began guiding the cart toward the door. Another executive added lightly, "We have investors flying in next week. Let's look professional." More quiet laughter. Brian paused, then said evenly, "Leadership isn't defined by title." The room stilled. Mark smirked. "Noted." He straightened his jacket, looked around the table with quiet satisfaction. "Gentlemen, let's not let the help set the agenda." A few people shifted uncomfortably. Emma looked down at her notepad. She had heard that tone before, in a smaller room, over a set of numbers she had merely questioned. She knew what followed that tone. The laughter this time was thinner, less certain, and then the conference room door opened. Richard Ashley walked in. Founder, CEO, measured presence. The room straightened immediately. "Morning," he said. Then his eyes moved to Brian near the doorway. "Why are you leaving?" Silence. Mark answered smoothly. "We were just clearing the room." Richard's gaze didn't leave his son. "Clearing the room?" Brian remained composed. "I was told this was a leadership session." Richard stepped further inside. "It is." A pause. "And I asked him to attend." Confusion flickered across faces. Mark blinked. "Attend?" Richard's voice remained calm. "Yes." He turned slightly toward the table. "This is Brian Ashley." Silence. "He's my son." The weight of those words settled slowly. Mark's posture shifted almost imperceptibly. The confidence that had filled his shoulders 30 seconds ago quietly left the room. Emma didn't move, but something behind her eyes did. Richard continued. 6 months ago, Brian asked to start at the lowest level of this company. He walked around the table slowly. He wanted to understand how we treat people when we think they have no influence. No accusation in his tone, just disappointment. Quiet, considered, worse than anger. "Years ago, I invested in a firm that collapsed." The room listened. "Not because of the markets, because of fraud." He let the word settle. Executives inflated numbers, ignored junior staff, silenced the people who asked the right questions. Emma's pen stopped moving. They created a culture where image was managed instead of earned. A pause. The honest left. The afraid stayed. Silence. The company didn't fail overnight. It failed slowly, quietly, in small rooms where the wrong voices were the loudest. He looked around the room. "I will not allow that here." Brian spoke quietly. "I've seen what entitlement does." All eyes turned. "I asked to start where influence is invisible." His tone wasn't defensive. It was steady. "If culture fails at the lowest level," he added, "strategy fails at the highest." The boardroom felt smaller. Richard nodded once. "That's exactly why he's here." Mark cleared his throat. We meant no disrespect." Richard's expression didn't change. "That is exactly the problem." He rested his hands slightly on the table. "Respect shouldn't depend on who you think someone is." Silence pressed against the glass walls. Emma looked at Brian again. This time, not with surprise, with recognition. Richard gestured toward an open chair near the center of the table. "Brian?" Brian walked forward calmly. No smirk, no triumph, just steady steps. He set aside the cleaning cloth, pulled out the chair and sat. The sound of the chair sliding against the floor was the only thing anyone heard. No one spoke, because some moments don't need commentary. He always belonged in that room. They had just revealed who didn't.